Hey there shooters, Mike Cicluna here with Team Wilson Combat, and it's a beautiful fall day here on the range, as you can see, with all the leaves falling around me and about me. And today I want to talk to you about the 1911, and specifically taking some of the things that I've taught you in previous videos and translating those to 1911s. And as you know, Wilson Combat builds the finest 1911s around. So obviously if you own a Wilson Combat 1911, it's about time you learn how to shoot it maybe a little bit better. Now today, for this particular video, I have a Wilson Combat Compact 9mm Sentinel. This is one of the carry guns that I carry on a regular basis. And I want to translate some of the things that you may already know from previous episodes to this particular gun, okay? First of all, let's talk just a little bit about how I prefer my 1911 setup and maybe some of the things that you should consider with your 1911s. And this, this varies based on person to person. Not everything that works for me is going to work for you. So you're going to want to look at your 1911s and maybe consider some of the options and then go with those options if they work for you and your hand size and your thumb size, etc. Okay? Number one, on the 1911s that I shoot, whether they're my defensive guns or my competition guns, I'm a big fan of ambidextrous thumb safeties. I want to have the ability to manipulate the safety with my strong thumb, or if I needed to for whatever reason, maybe I needed to do a support hand only draw or pick up from a table because I'm injured or the other hand is occupied. I want to be able to manipulate that thumb with my support hand as well. If you only have a safety on one side of your gun, for example, and I put the gun in your support hand, you're going to be required to literally take your grip, completely unbuild it, and then try to manipulate the safety with the other thumb on the other side, which is going to be very difficult at best. So number one, I would recommend to you that you consider ambidextrous thumb safeties. Now, in this particular gun, on these safeties, you can tell they're reduced profile safeties. So the smaller the gun and the more of a carry gun it tends to be, the more of a reduced thumb safety I'm going to choose. If you look at my competition gun, my CQB Elite, it has a very big, robust thumb safety on the side where my right thumb goes, and a little bit reduced where my left thumb goes because of the fact that my trigger finger, or the top of my trigger finger, actually hits the bottom of the safety in a bigger, thicker safety. But I want as much thumb safety as I can get on the gun that will still allow me to conceal it. So for example, on a carry gun like this, I'm going to have compromised a little bit and selected a reduced size thumb safety. And on a competition gun, I'm going to have a bigger thumb safety, okay? Secondly, on the guns itself, I'm a big fan of leaving all safety devices working. And I see a lot of folks out there with 1911s that deactivate their grip safety. So on 1911, as you know, with your 1911, you've got your thumb safety, and this, of course, is the grip safety. Now, in this particular grip safety, this is what they call a tabbed grip safety, or some people may refer to it as a memory groove type grip safety. And if you look at the safety itself, the additional material on the bottom of the safety allows me to grip the handgun, and with the same motion of my hand, the same gripping motion of my hand, deactivate or move the safety farther. And one of the reasons people deactivate their grip safeties on 1911s because they have a standard flat grip safety is because they can't deactivate it with a standard firing grip. So my rule is on the 1911s that I shoot is that A, I learn how to build a good firing grip by taking that strong hand and getting it nice and high in the back of the gun. And number two, I select grip safeties that ensure that I'll have the grip safety deactivated when I grab the gun. Even when I grab the gun and I don't have a stellar grip, I want to have a grip safety that will allow me to deactivate it simply by gripping the handgun. So if yours causes you to have some problems with that, I would strongly recommend you reach out to us and talk about one of these grip safeties that has that additional material on the back of the gun, okay? One more thing about 1911s, if you look at the guns that I'm shooting and you look at the sights, this particular set of sights is a fixed set of sights. I've got a fixed rear sight and I've got a robust front sight. These are actually night sights, which, believe it or not, I don't necessarily have to have on a carry gun, but I like to have on a carry gun. The reason I want to have a fixed sight on one of these carry 1911s is because this robust sight is going to hold up under all kinds of duress. And a good example might be, there may be a case where I have to manipulate the gun off of my belt or off of my holster, and a fixed rear sight like this is going to make it easier for me to do so, and I can guarantee that sight is going to hold up over repeated one-handed manipulation. So one of my rules on a carry gun is, if you're going to carry a gun, you should be able to manipulate it with one or both hands, or with either hand, which requires a fixed rear sight in the handgun, okay? Last but not least, some of my competition guns, if you look at the 1911s, have a very robust and aggressive set of grip panels on them. On this gun offers just enough friction where I can actually grip the gun well and control the recoil well, but at the same time, you know, this surface area, in terms of carrying the gun on my body against my skin, is just enough friction for me to control the recoil if I need to control the recoil, however, at the same time, not tear my skin up. So that's something I look for in a carry gun as well, or in my 1911s, okay? So one of the things that I want to work on today is the process of actually manipulating the safety on the 1911. And what I found is, about half the shooters I work with that maybe haven't shot a 1911 a lot end up manipulating the safety and actually placing their thumb below the safety, which in my opinion is not correct. Some of them actually don't know when to manipulate the safety or when to wipe it off, if you will. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. So when I'm shooting the gun, my general rule, if I'm shooting with a two-handed grip, is that once the second hand starts to build that grip process, and if you watch any of the previous videos, you know I call that the trigger guard index pointer, the Judy chop, right? Once that second hand touches the gun, and normally I'm going to index just under that trigger guard, and I start to form my support hand grip, my strong hand thumb is going to wipe that safety off, and then more importantly, it's going to ride on top of the safety. What I don't want you to do, or I don't recommend that you do, is wiping the safety off and then bringing the thumb down below the safety, because anytime my thumb goes low on the grip panel itself, it gets in the way of the left hand and prevents me from building a good two-handed grip, right? So when I wipe that safety off, I'm going to continue to ride the safety, and I'm actually using that thumb to pressure down the safety. So some of the recoil control that I have with the handgun comes from that thumb, okay? So on the safety, second hand meets, grip process starts to build, and I'm going to wipe the safety off. The second thing I want you to pay attention to is how I get my left hand into place under the safety. Because if you look at the thumb here, there's kind of a curve to my thumb. That curve fits the curve of my support hand thumb as well. So once I've wiped that safety off, I'm not just taking my hand and placing it on the grip, I'm taking my hand and rotating it up into the grip. So now when I form my final firing grip, both hands are literally fitting together like two pieces of a puzzle, and that's really important to me. So to work that skill, get your 1911, unload and make sure it's clear. This one is. Take the safety, wipe it on, and then start back from that position where you're touching under the trigger guard and simply practice wiping the safety off and then getting that left hand up under the thumb, finding your sight picture, and then pressing the trigger. Now, while I'm pressing the trigger, of course, I'm gripping the gun really hard, but I'm also pressuring down on that thumb on top of the safety, okay? At that point in time, manipulate the slide, whatever method you want to manipulate the slide. Take the thumb safety, put it back on, rebuild your grip, and start the process over again. So I'm practicing wiping that safety off, building my grip, finding the sights, and firing a shot, okay? Work the slide, safety goes back on, build my grip, find my sights, and then fire my shot. Repetitively. Now, one of the things I want you to focus on when you do this particular drill is consistently building the pressure on the grip, just like we taught you in the grip drill or the grip video earlier. Inconsistencies in the pressure on the grip will cause inconsistencies in how your gun points and how it shoots in the end. So there you go. Some of the things that I like to see on a 1911, how I like mine set up, some of the features of an ambidextrous thumb safety, as well as how I like my grip safety set up and grip panels, and a little drill for you to start to work on building your grip, wiping the safety off, and making sure you get it done consistently each and every time. So in a future live fire drill, I'm going to show you this same technique in a very simple and easy to set up drill that will allow you to work on this skill. So make sure you subscribe and watch for that video.